Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this here will be Chapter 10, Section 3, the Late Republic. As you know, in our last section, we ended up talking about civic duty and checks and balances and then ended with the Roman form. Now, we're going to transition into the later years of the Republic. So, this here is getting us inside the 300 BCs, 200 BCs, down into the 100 BCs. Our next chapter will kind of pick up where this one leaves off, and it'll pick up in the first century BC, so like year 1 BC to year 100 BC. But for now, we're going to take a look at mainly how the Roman Republic goes from just this small city in the peninsula of Italy and how it will expand to where it controls pretty much all of the Italian peninsula and then starts to go outside of the Italian peninsula and gathers up, gobbles up, or conquers, I guess you could say, new lands. Okay? And it's going to happen through wars mainly. But there's also going to be some problems inside of Rome. That's what's at the end of this section. So you should have already looked at these main ideas, key terms and people. We engaged in a little activity if you were there. Right now we're going to talk about growth of the territory and trade. So for about 200 years of the Republic, really things are just concentrated right there on the Italian peninsula. There were some issues though, okay? One of the biggest issues is outsiders wanted to take over Rome. They saw Rome, the city of Rome, as a good place, for trade and other types of things. So other people wanted to take over Rome. And one of these people were called the Gauls. Now, the Gauls live in a place that we know of today as France. So they're going to come down into the Italian peninsula and they're going to attack the city of Rome. And it says here around 387 BC. Now, what happens is the Romans aren't strong enough to defend themselves, to kick out the Gauls or anything like that. Now, the Gauls really didn't want the city, I guess you could say, because what ends up happening at the end there, the Romans gave the Gauls a huge amount of gold to leave the city, to just leave the city and go back up into Europe, up into where France is today. And so the Gauls will leave. The biggest problem, though, with them paying the Gauls is that they have now told everybody else around Rome, every other surrounding tribe and different types of people like the Latins, the Etruscans, the Greeks, and others, that, hey, just come attack Rome. They'll give you gold to go away. And that becomes a big problem. And Rome realizes it very quickly that, hey, we can't pay everybody that attacks us. So these neighbor cities are wanting to attack. Rome has to step up for itself and stand up for itself. And that's what they will do. And they will fight off these attacks. Initially, they will fight off attacks of neighboring tribes. Then the Romans are actually going to go out there and attack those neighbors too. Okay? And pretty soon, as we can see on this map here, Rome goes from in 509 when the Republic is set up to this little place right here to now about 270 BC, so a good 230 years later, they control pretty much the entire peninsula. Right? And a lot of that is thanks to the legions. Okay? After the Gauls attacked, Rome realized, hey, we've got to make ourselves an army that we can fight back. And the legions will be their army, and they become the greatest army at that time. The legions, they're a group of 6,000 soldiers. And then inside those legions, they're going to be broken up into centuries. And that's groups of 100 soldiers. Okay, it's a very organized army. And with it being, kind of separated into smaller groups, it becomes much more flexible, meaning that it could fight a large group with the 6,000 or a much smaller ones with the 100 soldiers. It's really how the U.S. does it today. If you think about our army today, very rarely are we going to be on the attack with thousands of soldiers. We might have 1,000 or thousands of soldiers in a battle or something, but there's usually a pocket of maybe 20 or 30 over here, another 20 or 30 miles away. And so what we do is what surgical strikes and things like that. It's exactly what the Romans were doing. They could spread their army out over in a much wider territory, and they could have those 100 be almost as strong as an enemy that had to have 500. It was a very, very dominating army because of their legions. Okay, so really that's how they do expand across the Italian peninsula. Now, before Rome had actually conquered a lot of Italy, all of this land out here along the coastline that wasn't part of the mountain areas, that was actually just small farms. Okay, there were a lot of small farmers out here. You know, down here in this area were the Greeks. You had the Latins around here. You have the Etruscan small farmers up here. Well, what's going to happen is that as the Republic grows from just this tiny dot here in Rome and expands throughout this area, a lot of these small farmers that are out here, they're actually going to leave their small farms. They're going to come to Rome. They're actually going to move into the city of Rome. And what ends up happening is you have a lot of wealthy patricians from Rome. They will actually buy up or start owning this land out here, and you start consolidating the land into large farms. Well, the wealthy don't want to live there and things like that. They want to live in Rome also. So you end up having slaves, a lot of slavery going on out here in the outer skirts on the farmlands of the Roman Republic here around 270 BC and later. But what happens is, to get these slaves out here, unfortunately at this time in the ancient Roman times, is you have to conquer people. Usually it's the conquered people that become the slaves for Rome. And so that's also how wars will be set up, is that Rome may go somewhere, not looking for land, let's say over in this area of Persia, or actually this would be over where Greece is, up in here, maybe even down into Africa. They're actually just looking for slaves. And that's kind of a sad reality of all of history being that way. And these slaves would come here and they would work these farms. Okay? And these small farmers, then they ended up, these small Roman farmers now end up here in Rome, and the city itself will continue to expand. So that kind of tells us about the small farms out here that become large farms. But inside Rome itself, you now have all of these people that are considered Romans now, needing to be fed, needing to be clothed, needing products, things like that. What it does is it turns Rome's trade outside of Italy, and they're going to start looking to trade with others around the Mediterranean. Let me see if I can find a better map here. So you can see Rome right here. They're actually at this time then going to start trading with the Egyptians, trading with the Carthaginians. There's a place over here on the eastern side of the Mediterranean called the Phoenicians, and that's where the Romans are going to start going there to look for more food. They're going to look for more metal goods and slaves for Rome. Now, to pay for these things, Rome's going to start having a money system, coins, and they will start trading, let's say, for baskets of grains, food, and they will give those traders coins, Roman coins. And you will start seeing these Roman coins appearing in markets all throughout the Mediterranean. And pretty soon then, the Romans pretty much dominate trade around the Mediterranean with their Roman money. And that becomes very significant. Just like the United States, how the US dollar is almost recognized everywhere. All right, so I'm going to finish right there with how Rome is going to grow. Mainly, the growth of territory comes through battles and war, and then the wealth of Rome is going to grow through trade. Okay, so kind of keep those things separate. Main things to understand is Gaul and how the Romans dealt with Gaul taking them over, and then how the Romans had to change that mindset because everybody else around them was thinking they would just get rich off attacking Rome, how they were able to successfully set up an army through their legions, and then, of course, the farming and trade. The backbone of any society is the farming and trade. The next video I make will have to deal with, okay, now there are competitors out here along the Mediterranean that the Romans have to deal with, and that especially is going to be this city right here, Carthage. And so the next video is going to deal with the Punic Wars. All right, thanks, you guys. Make sure you're filling out your notes as you watch this video.